Hey gang, what's up? Aaron right here, Canadian Looney. Larry Brock, one of our favorites to watch, is battling the Attorney General. I think Larry Brock is going to be the next Attorney General, but now he's facing off against ARIF VIRANI, the current Justice Minister, and this guy is a clown. Let's take a look. They're going to battle here on the House Commons floor, and then they're going to battle in committee. And wait till we get to the committee meeting. It gets out of hand. Let's take a look. Let's take a listen. Larry Brock is a man on fire.
The honourable member for Brantford Brent.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister has lost confidence of his cabinet, his caucus, and all Canadians as he desperately clings to power. Yesterday, the Liberals dropped their fall economic statement and literally ran out of the House. A $62 billion deficit, missing their target by a whopping 55%. The end result? Canadians are now paying more on debt interest charges than on health care. When will this Prime Minister end the misery, call the carbon tax election, so Conservatives can finally fix what they have broken?
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, I want to take the opportunity to inform the Justice critic that, in fact, in that fall economic statement, he would have seen a series of measures that address community safety in our communities across the country. He would have seen measures that crack down on auto theft. He would have seen stricter bail and sentencing provisions. He would have seen provisions in the sex offender registries to get tough on child sex predators. He would have seen securing our borders to provide confidence to our American counterparts, cracking down on money laundering and terrorist financing. These are all measures that we all have an interest in promoting, passing, and getting funded in this country to keep Canadians safe.
The honourable member for Brantford Brent.
After 9 years of this Prime Minister's economic vandalism and inflationary spending, he has added more to the debt than all previous Prime Ministers combined. Now Canadians are paying more. Our national debt now sits at $1.24 trillion, an astronomical number that our future generations will have to deal with. Canada's promise of powerful paychecks, affordable housing, safe streets have all been shattered under the NDP Liberals. This Prime Minister has lost confidence of his caucus, the House, and Canadians. When will he call an immediate carbon tax election?
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, that member is a former Crown attorney. He knows in terms of keeping communities safe, it starts with addressing the prolific amount of guns that are in our communities. What's in that fall economic statement? $597 million to take weapons off of our streets. What else is in there? Mr. Speaker, that member knows that organized criminality is a problem in Canada from coast to coast to coast. What we are doing with organized criminality is ensuring tougher penalties for financial crimes, cracking down on money laundering, and cracking down on terrorist financing. You get at the cause of the problem when you address the money flow. That's what we're doing in the fall economic statement. We wish we could have their support.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
Oh, yeah.
This is the best part of this video. This committee is ridiculous, guys. The Liberals, James Maloney, Chris Brittle, whatever his foolish name is, this guy's a loser and a distraction for Canadians. He is a bum. And the chair of this committee, Lena Diab, well, she's got issues, and I think a crush on Larry Brock a little bit. It's kind of funny, it's not really, but ARIF VIRANI has no answers for Larry Brock. Let's take a look.
Mr. Brock, please.
Minister, last Friday night, as Canada's second largest city burned and was under siege.
Yes, Mr. Biddle?
On the issue of relevancy, I know Mr. Brock
Why
was
don't you let me
outraged.
ask the question?
Mr. Brock was outraged last week when we were here.
My God.
He said, and filibustered for an hour when there was a suggestion that we may ask questions of Mr. Viersen unrelated to the topic at hand. This is unrelated to Bill S-13. Yes, relevancy is within the standing orders.
Okay.
This is within the standing orders. If Mr. Brock can keep to his questions to the legislation, I know he insisted that we do the same thing 2 weeks ago. Mr. Brock of 2 weeks ago would have been very upset at Mr. Brock today. So I'm hoping if he can keep his remarks focused pursuant to the standing orders.
Okay, so thank you for that, Mr. Biddle. Relevancy is definitely within the standing orders, but I don't think Mr. Brock has even had a chance to
Of course not. This is
even
Biddle's game
start
plan.
with the. So I'm going to start you back at 6 minutes, Mr.
Thank you.
Brock.
Appreciate that, Chair.
And we'll let you continue. And I know you've been here as long as I have been here, and you're very well versed.
And it's the members' time.
So
Yes.
please proceed.
Thank you. Minister, last Friday night, as Canada's second largest city burned and was under siege by pro-Hamas terrorists rioting in the streets, damaging property, and citing their vile messaging of their extermination of the Jewish state, all the while your leader, Justin Trudeau, danced away at a Taylor Swift concert, sharing friendship bracelets with other fans. You, as Canada's chief legal officer, remained silent. Why, sir, did you develop, or why did you display a lack of leadership and courage in calling out this extreme anti-Semitic hate and violence?
So, Minister, please proceed. Yes.
Well, I reject that categorization, and I also reject what happened on Friday night in terms of its appropriateness. What happened on Friday night was a disgusting and appalling act of lawlessness and unlawful behavior by people who would seek to sow havoc and chaos on our
Canadians,
streets.
Minister, would have appreciated
and
you
I-
calling
and I
that out
referenced-
at the
if I
time,
could
but you
finish, Madam
remained
Chair?
silent.
Yeah,
I'll
yes.
move on to my second question.
And I referenced that in my response in
Sorry,
House of
Minister,
Commons
this is
today.
my time. A few weeks ago, November the 11th, during a bail compliance check, Toronto police officers
Can you stop the watch for a sec? Mr. Biddle, yes?
Again, I think the time was given to Mr. Brock to bring it back to S13. He has not done that and now has moved into another question unrelated to the topic. I know Indigenous rights are very important to him, and he should move back to that topic, as Mr. Brock was insistent last week that we stick to the topic and Liberals stick to the topic. I'm curious why Conservatives don't hold themselves to the same standard.
I mean, relevancy is very much as the base of the issue. So I'm going to have Mr. Brock now. We will start the watch again. Mr. Brock, just be careful.
I'll get to relevancy.
Okay, just
Thank you.
please go ahead.
We support S13. A few weeks ago, November the 11th, during a bail compliance check, Toronto police officers found themselves. Madam Chair, this is becoming ridiculous, and this is a pattern that Mr. Biddle
Point of order.
continually does at these committee meetings.
Mr. Biddle?
Well, the pattern is its relevancy. This is legislation. Mr. Brock acknowledged that the
Let
standing orders
me ask the question,
Again,
Biddle.
it's Mr. Biddle, Mr. Brock. We show each other respect in this room. And again,
Like
he
you're
insisted, he insisted last week that we stick to the topic at hand, and he's not doing what he insisted that we do last week. So I hope that Mr. Brock of a week ago will comport himself in the same way that he insisted a week ago that we should comport ourselves.
Mr. Brock, I'm going to
Thank you.
ask you to proceed before
Toronto police officers found themselves in the middle of an active shootout between rival groups. 16 firearms were seized, all stolen and smuggled from the U.S. 23 people, including a young offender with 3 firearm prohibitions, was arrested. In response, the Toronto Police Association, the Police Association of Ontario, and the Ontario Provincial Police Association, representing 35,000 officers across the province, were calling on the government for immediate bail reform. This is the federal government. Their calls to action included tough-on-crime measures that ensure repeat violent offenders are kept in custody, imposing stricter penalties for bail violations, and shifting resources away from ineffective gun bans
point of order,
to
Madam
focus
Chair.
on combating illegal firearm
Point
smuggling.
of order, Madam Chair.
Yes.
This isn't the first time.
Member of Parliament Maloney?
Look, Mr. Brock is entitled to his time. There's 2 points. One, he understands the importance of being allowed to ask his questions, a point he's made now more than once. But it's also important that he allows the minister the opportunity to answer the question, which he didn't do on his first question. And now he's asked 2 questions that have absolutely nothing to do with the topic we're here to discuss. So I think it is incumbent on you, Madam Chair, to get Mr. Brock to stay within the realm of relevance. I know that Mr. Brock thinks relevance is subjective, but it's not. It's objective, and it's for you to determine whether his questions are appropriate or not. And both of these questions are inappropriate and then far outside the scope of what we're here today for.
It would be very helpful if Mr. Maloney allowed me to actually ask the question, which he interrupted halfway through. Madam Chair?
So, Mr. Brock, you've got 3 minutes. We've stopped the
By
clock,
my
by the
count,
way,
I've got-
each and
I
every
still
time.
have
A
4
point of
minutes.
order. No, 3 minutes and 29. And we've stopped it every time, but I'm gonna take a minute break, so just give me a break for a minute. In the bill that we are studying, so the clock will go back now.
I intend on doing that with the 6 minutes that I have available. Chair, thank you. Time to start it?
Yes, please.
This isn't the first time the TPA has raised alarms, Minister. In the House today, you proudly stated we delivered bail reform. According to premiers of provinces and territories and presidents of police associations across this country, they unanimously claim that Bill C-48 is an abject failure. Instead of blaming provincially appointed judges and justices of the peace, when will you finally toughen up our bail regime to keep our communities safe?
Okay, I'm going to allow the minister to please respond to that, and if you wish to bring it back to what we're studying.
Well, I object that categorization, and I'll refer the member to 3 points. The first is that the work of the Toronto Police Services is heroic, and I applaud their courage. The second point I would make is that there are 700 less police officers in Toronto now than there were in 2015 when we first got elected, which is a problem for the municipality and a problem for the province. The third point I would make is that that same TPS letter actually referred to the penalties that are involved for things like gun smuggling and gun trafficking. In preparing for this appearance, I actually noted that in Bill, if I can finish.
No, thank you, Minister. This is
Point of
my
order,
time.
Madam Chair, if he's allowed to ask the question,
This is
the
my
minister's
time,
allowed to
Madam
answer.
Chair. He's answered the question. He said he had 3 points. I gave him the opportunity to raise those 3 points. This is
He
the
wasn't
member's
gonna- he
time.
wasn't finished the
I'm
third point,
reclaiming my time.
You're good?
Thank you.
Point.
Oh, he didn't finish his, please go ahead.
The TPS called for enhanced penalties for gun smuggling and gun trafficking. We enacted those penalties
Thank you, Minister.
and enhancements in
Moving
Bill
on.
C-21, which
Moving
that
on.
member
Thank
voted
you,
against.
Minister. This is my time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
Yeah, I will. We know that Indigenous people are more likely to be victims of crime. This has been reiterated in numerous government studies, such as the MMIWG and the TRC, and the statistics don't seem to have changed much since these reports were made public. In 2022, StatsCan reported that nearly 2/3, 62%, of Indigenous people have experienced at least one sexual or physical assault after the age of 15. Will you, Minister, commit to reinforcing the Canadian Victim Bill of Rights to better protect Indigenous victims of crime and uphold the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People Act?
Minister?
I absolutely commit to ensuring that people are protected from things like sexual assault, including Indigenous, and I applaud the member opposite for noting that
Force the
Indigenous
Victim Bill
people
of
are
Rights.
both Indigenous people are both overrepresented as both
Will you
accused and as
reinforce the
victims
Canadian
in our
Victim
system.
Bill of
Madam
Rights?
Chair, if I could finish my response,
Yes,
please.
please, Minister. Yeah.
So, and I applaud the notification and the recognition that Indigenous people are overrepresented in our system, both as
Will
accused
you
and as victims.
reinforce the Victim Bill of Rights, Minister? It's a simple question, yes or no?
View of the
The
Canadian
answer is
Victim
no.
Bill
Thank
of
you.
Rights.
Would the Minister consider a similar approach to
Madam
victims'
Chair,
rights?
Point of order. Point
We
of
have
order.
30 seconds left.
Finish my response, Madam Chair.
29 seconds now.
Well,
and
Madam Chair-
I hear a number of
Madam
points
Chair,
of order.
Madam Chair,
so-
if I could raise an issue, please. Generally, when we pose a
You can't
question,
make a point of order in your own time, Madam
Actually,
Chair.
I was at
No,
another
Madam-
committee and they
Madam
made
Chair.
that very clear. It's true.
generally you afford a witness the same amount of time it takes for the question to be put.
That's not being done. That's
is
my
not being
that's my
done
fault here. You're taking a lot more time to ask, and you're
Well, the
not
reason I'm
allowing
taking
the
a lot
minister.
more time to ask
you're
is
not
that the
allowing
Liberal
the
members
minister
are
the time
constantly
to respond.
interrupting. I constantly have to go back to the original question, repeat myself. That's what's happening here.
So,
I can do it in 10 seconds, Madam Chair.
listen, we had stopped the clock. I'm not going to keep stopping the clock. We stopped it at 29. Can we please continue with that now?
I'm moving on to another question.
The minister
Before
said he
you do,
hasn't finished
Minister,
answering
have
the
you
question.
responded to that last question?
Madam Chair, we put on reverse bonuses for bail for intimate partner violence, which assists Indigenous women. That
Thank
was
you.
Bill
The answer is
C-75
no.
and Bill C-48.
Would the minister consider a similar approach to victims' rights as being proposed in this bill? Specifically, will the minister reinforce the primacy clause in the Canadian Victim Bill of Rights to ensure the rights of victims are considered, upheld, and supported by courts and other criminal justice professionals in every interaction with the criminal justice system? Yes or no?
Okay, Mr. Brock, your time is up, but I am going to allow equal time for the minister to respond as that last question, which was about 23 seconds.
Review that happened, I believe, at this committee 2 years ago of the Canadian Victims' Bill of Rights. There was a lot of healthy and proposals that were suggested at that point, and we are always looking to ensure that victims' voices are empowered and that their rights are given primacy in our system.
Thank you, Minister. That didn't take that long, so we appreciate that. So
I think our leader, Trudeau, I don't think I've ever heard him say a true word.
Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.
I know this place is where I am.
Check this out. Where's Randy, guys? Look up. Is he up there? You up there blowing a squirrel, Randy? We'll get her take a stroll up. So, what do you think? Hey gang, Aaron right here, Canadian Looney. Everyone has an opinion about Canadian federal politics.